From the streets to the studio, from crisis to recovery, from awareness to action. Ask the Messengers. We bring you real talk about public health, addiction and recovery, and the issues that matter most in our communities. The message is hope. The message is change. Ask the Messengers begins now. Today on Ask the Messengers, in our DWIHN Partnership Series, we bring you recovery stories from a few men who open up about their journey through addiction, incarceration, loss, and the fight to find themselves again. Plus, our field reporter, Che Monet, interviews Joseph Paliwoda, co-founder and CEO of Personalized Nursing Lighthouse. He talks about the recovery services that PNLH has been providing since 1990. Also, we bring you part 2 of Derick Hill's one-on-one interview with STP Trucking owner Robert Gardner. Darrell Woods Jr. spent his younger years deeply involved in the drug life, which ultimately led to his incarceration at the age of 18. Sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, he spent 28 years behind bars. However, his story didn't end there. Former Michigan Governor Rick Snyder commuted his sentence, allowing Woods to start a new chapter of his life. Darrell, welcome to Ask the Messengers.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about who Darrell used to be and who you are now, and why you're doing what you're doing today.
Absolutely. I grew up in the city of Detroit. And as a young man, I grew up with a mother who was addicted and afflicted by heroin. She had a nervous breakdown after my biological father died. I was in her womb, and her coping mechanism and the pressure that she went through is to run to drugs, and she eventually got hooked on heroin. And my grandmother primarily raised me in the city of Detroit. We grew up in the church. We grew up with a lot of us together in one home. I ended up getting very rebellious and ran away from home and found myself at a very early age connected in the drug trade in the city of Detroit, and eventually got shot at the age of 14, had a child at the age of 16, had another child at the age of 17, and at the age of 18, I found myself incarcerated with life without the possibility of parole. Served 29 years in prison, and while I was incarcerated, I educated myself, got my GED, was able to get some college and became a part of the Detroit branch NAACP under the leadership of Reverend Wendell Anthony, and the list goes on and on,
Wow, you really have a true story of overcoming all obstacles. And before we go into what you're doing today and why you're doing, let's take a moment. I want you to look in the camera and I want you to talk to some of those young guys out there, because, we have this repeat cycle of repeat cycle of repeat cycle. But you were part of a repeat cycle, but look at you now. So can you just share some words to someone right now who may be watching, or a mother who, or let's say a grandmother who is just at her wit's end with her son or her daughter?
I say keep on loving them, keep on praying, and keep on pouring into their lives. And I say to any young person to always remember that the choices we make today is a down payment on our future. We should never put ourselves in a situation like I did as a very young teenager, put myself in a bad situation where I found myself in prison, condemned to die in prison. Serving 29 years in prison I was not at a day camp. This was prison, and prison is a dream killer, and you have to be very, very conscious of the choices that you make, those folks that you're hanging around with, and those the things that you are associating yourself with. I tell you from firsthand that it is absolutely not worth it. when I was there. My mother died while I was there. Both of my grandmothers died when I was there, and so many other other loved ones died while I was there. Couldn't go to their funerals. Only thing I could do is get on that steel bunk, put the cover over my head, and cry like a baby. And so you don't want to go through that. You don't want to live like an animal inside a cage, being told what to do 24 hours a day, being strip searched at will. That is not a place for you, young person. And for those who are being patient with our young people, those grandmothers and those mothers, I say, don't throw in the towel. Just keep on loving them. Keep on sowing the seeds.
Darrell Woods Jr. is currently a member of the DWIHN Substance Use Disorder Oversight Policy Board. He is also a member of the Detroit Police Commissioners Board. And to add to his list of accomplishments, in 2020, a year after being released, he launched Fighting the Good Fight, a nonprofit organization to help and mentor former inmates, drug addicts, and troubled teens. How did you start using?
Female, I was with her and seeing she was straight, and I said, I guess I'll be straight. And it turned out I wasn't, so yeah, that's how that turned out.
When did you get to the point where you said, look, enough is enough, I'm done?
When I went to my mother's house and she just gave me that look like I'm just so disgusted. So that kind of jacked me up. So I knew right then and there I had to make a change.
How old were you when you first started using?
16, I started smoking 51s, and it escalated.
How you started smoking?
Hanging out at the strip clubs with my sister and being grown too fast.
How long did you use for?
35 years.
Out of 35 years, what was your worst day of using like?
Like, one of the worst things I did was cut my mama's pantyhose to get the food stamps out of it.
When did you get to the point where you said, look, enough is enough, I'm done?
When I was claiming the abandon as my house, and I woke up in it, and I just told myself, you better than this.
I want you to look directly into that camera and make amends to anyone that you want to make amends to.
Well, first, my only amends would be to my daughter for not being the father that I should have been.
Look into the camera and talk to your daughter. Say her name.
Stephanie, I apologize for not being the father that I was supposed to, but I appreciate you staying with me through all my journey.
Now I want you to look into that camera and make amends to yourself. Say your name.
Samuel, you did a lot of things and you never gave all your effort to what you needed to do, but now give yourself a break and keep it moving forward.
Now I want you to look out there and give somebody a hope shot who might be thinking about getting high for the very first time and don't know what road they about to go down. Give them some hope.
You don't have to do it. Don't let that curiosity get you in something that you can't get up out of, and it be too late.
If you have a recovery story of your own and would like to share it right here on our show, record the video and send it to us. Our email information is right there on the screen, askthemessengers@gmail.com. Previously on Ask the Messengers.
This gentleman is a young man who is now a successful business owner.
Our very own Derick Hill talked one-on-one with STP Trucking CEO Robert Gardner. He spoke about his life's journeys and overcoming adversity. This week, we bring you part 2 of their conversation.
I landed myself in prison.
Okay.
And I remember the very first book I read, which was the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Okay. All right.
And a lot of things that he went through as a child I could relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And how he dropped out of school. I dropped out of school. And he landed himself in prison, how he took that experience and made it serve him.
Okay.
Educated himself and became very studious.
Okay.
I mean, he would read the dictionary from front to end. And so that inspired me to study the dictionary.
Okay.
To broaden my vocabulary. And so when I read his book, it really galvanized me or motivated me or inspired me, I should say, to really take on the same approach that he took.
Okay.
To educate myself, to number one, seek God, seek a purpose greater than myself.
Okay.
And so that's what I chose to do.
Can you share with us some of the things that kept you going while you were incarcerated? What kept you motivated, and what were did you have any mentors while you were there? Anybody who helped you get through those hard times?
That's a very good question, because during my incarceration, my family support system was very slim. It wasn't as solid as I would have liked it to be. And so, which I'm not angry with anyone, because that was a choice I made that landed me there.
Okay.
So I did have to come to terms with that. But number one, I'll say God. You know, without God, man, I wouldn't even be sitting here. You know, that's what got me through. There were times I wanted to give up, but that's when I had to seek God and ask Him.
That was
during,
your source
in the midst
of
of
strength.
my weakness,
Yes, sir.
give me the strength to
Gotcha.
push through.
Okay.
And so I would say that was number one. Number two, I would say the desire to see something greater for my life. I knew that prison wasn't where I wanted the period to be. I wanted it to be a comma. And so I decided to make that comma and create, by the grace of God, an experience or a life that coincides with Malcolm X. He said, to have been a prisoner is no disgrace, but to remain a prisoner is a disgrace.
Okay, now tell me, is there, because I think I might have heard you mention it one time, something that you did and some people you worked with while you were there, and you guys set up a program of some type that you got involved in that kind of led to developing your sense of business and wanting to start your own business. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes.
Okay.
I always had aspirations to be an entrepreneur. My dad's dad, which is my grandfather, you know, I would watch him. You know, he was an entrepreneur and worked for Chrysler for 40 years, but he also did home improvement. He did construction on the side. And so I kind of, you know, had an aspiration to get into entrepreneurship, watching him while growing up.
Since you've been out, you've been able to move forward with starting your own business. Okay, you're now a successful businessman, and what keeps you motivated, and how do you maintain, and what keeps you up at night? Is there anything that keeps you up at night, and who might be a role model to you that you might have looked up to while you putting all this together? Anyone?
Anybody that's in business, they're gonna be kept up at night.
All right.
To all my entrepreneurs, there are nights when I do when I am up.
Okay.
To say the least. And anybody who's living, they know that we just experienced slight recession, inflation, and things of that nature. But in the midst of it all, God has been here with me. He sustained me then. He's sustaining me now. And without Him, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Okay. And would it be fair to say through perseverance, hard work, and commitment, you've been able to establish yourself as a successful businessman? And what would you say to someone today who is thinking of starting their own business? And what would you suggest that they do? What would it take for them? What kind of work would they have to put in?
I would say, number one, find out what it is you would like to do as an entrepreneur. You know, you have to identify what you want to do. While I was incarcerated, I knew that I wanted to make money, and I knew that I would be confronted with the hurdle of being someone who has a felony.
Okay.
So number one, you have to be realistic about what it is you want to do as an entrepreneur.
All right.
And identify what it is.
Okay.
And once you do that, outline a plan or strategy to take on what it is you wish to do. And that's been my story.
Okay.
And so I knew that I decided by the grace of God that I was going to do trucking once I got home. But it didn't just start out here. It started prior to my release. And I always embraced the 5 P's to success. Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Okay.
So, I prepared for what I'm doing today.
Right.
And I used to believe in good luck, but I believe this: when preparation and opportunity converge, that's when good fortune happens. So preparation is a key ingredient to anything you embark on.
If you have a recovery story of your own and would like to share it right here on our show, record the video and send it to us. Our email information is right there on the screen, askthemessengers@gmail.com. The DWIHN Integrated Health Network provides services and support to 123,000 people in Wayne County. DWIHN serves people with mental illness, intellectual and developmental disabilities, individuals with substance use disorders, and children with serious emotional disturbance. DWIHN is the largest and most diverse community mental health agency in the state of Michigan, and it is committed to providing the highest quality of integrated health care to those it serves while working alongside its dedicated and compassionate provider network.
Tell our viewers your name.
Joseph Paliwoda.
I'm going to call him Joe. That's a lot. And the name of your company.
Personalized Nursing Lighthouse.
Personalized Nursing Lighthouse. And a little bit about what you do. What does this company do?
We provide a comprehensive continuum of care for substance use disorder treatment, including withdrawal for adults, withdrawal management, residential services, intensive outpatient programming with domicile. So we have about 75 to 100 beds in the community where people come to our IOP every day, which is intensive outpatient programming, and they live in furnished apartments or houses that we provide for them. A lot of people struggle with housing or transportation, so we've taken away some of those social determinants of health that are barriers to good health, like transportation and housing.
And so, this is on the grounds? Where you are?
Well, the withdrawal management residential is in a setting, more like a residential building, like a formal hospital setting.
Okay.
But the intensive outpatient program, which is our largest service that we provide, is in the Plymouth-Canton area, and it has, like I said, 75 or so beds to 100, depending on we go up and down. And the idea is that we have 2 offices, one in Canton, that's a men's only IOPD program, so gender-specific programming for the men, and then we have a mixed gender in the Plymouth location, and again, they come 5 days a week for group therapy, get individual therapy with master's prepared clinicians, and then live in our furnished apartments. So it's a good combination of structure and freedom. So after the groups, they can go home, get a job, visit their family, interact with their roommates, or go to AA or NA. But it's kind of strengthening their muscle for recovery. So it's not for everyone. If you need detox, there's a level of care for detox. There's a level of care for residential. But when you're ready for that next level, this is a good place for that.
I find that to be interesting and amazing because a lot of companies, not every company, is doing what you're doing. A lot of times when people are doing or having issues with substance abuse, the housing is an issue, and the fact that they are out in the streets, it causes them to use more. So you've eliminated that. How long has this company been doing this?
So I'm the co-founder and CEO, and been there for going on 35 years. So, so 1990 we started, and again, we looked at that very issue. A lot of treatment centers were saying, after residential, come back and see us 3 nights a week for IOP, but the person didn't have transportation or the person didn't have a place to live. And even if they had a place to live, it's not always recovery supportive, meaning it could be someone using or someone verbally or emotionally abusive, or even physically abusive. So this is a safe, healing place for them to practice their recovery. I call it muscle. You got to go. You can go down to the party store, walk by the beer aisle, grab a Diet Coke, and then talk about it and strengthen that recovery muscle. So that's been our most effective and unique program. I think we're one of the first, if not the first in the state, that offer that level of care, intensive outpatient program with domicile. And then when they're done with that, it's about 14 weeks at the max. Sometimes people need 4 weeks. It's personalized, medically necessary, so it depends on the person and their situation. But after that, they can be eligible to attend outpatient with us, traditional, or engage in recovery housing, which we have about 15 to 20 beds for that. And they can still stay with us for outpatient. So a person can stay with us for almost 2 years of support and treatment while they live in our housing. And that's really a beautiful thing, because as you know, the more time in treatment, the more likely you have success.
Yes, the more success.
And part of the whole relapse situation is that people don't get sufficient dosage of treatment.
Yes.
And they leave too early. Either they leave right after detox or right after residential, and they don't get that support that makes it lasting. Like any other chronic disease, you need that support.
I'm sitting here, I'm almost speechless, but you're helping so many people. The fact that all the services you provide, who qualifies? How do we reach you? How do they apply? How does this work?
Well, we are funded by a variety of counties. Detroit, Wayne County is one, Oakland County, Macomb County, Washtenaw Community Mental Health Partnership in Southeastern Michigan, which is 4 other counties.
Oh, wow.
So we have a variety at Southeastern Michigan. You're likely to be eligible to come to our services. So if you're interested in or in need, we offer it for adults only, and we have an intake team waiting to hear your call. You can call them and get screened and say, what level do I need? And they'll help figure out what's the best service for you that's personalized. Okay. Or they can call their county funding sources and say, ask for Personalized Nursing Lighthouse, and they can get into us, into our system that way.
If you have a recovery story of your own and would like to share it right here on our show, record the video and send it to us. Our email information is right there on the screen, askthemessengers@gmail.com.
Would you like to help us save lives? You can do so by partnering with us here at Ask the Messengers by making a donation of any amount. The people in your communities need your support. Help us extend our reach and impact more lives. Supporting our organization is as easy as a click of a button. Just visit our site shown on the screen from your phone or computer, where you will see a yellow donation button. Ask the Messengers is waiting on your partnership, and your community is waiting on you.
If you prefer mailing your donations, send your check or money order payable to Ask the Messengers TV show and send it to 18400 Schaefer Highway, Detroit, Michigan 48235. Well, that concludes this week's episode of Ask the Messengers, and we're asking you to take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you to our guests today, and we hope the information shared will be of some help to you, your family, and your community. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and keep standing for what's right. See you next time, right here on Ask the Messengers.